Okay, good morning. Good morning. As we're starting to see our participants come over into the next session. And I know that, as I mentioned earlier, we're in the midst of COVID-19. The time is different, so we're having to do some unnormal type activities, which is gather on virtual spaces. And so I do know that for those that are technology challenged, it could be a little bit of a work. So we know that, we appreciate it, and we are embracing it and moving forward. So as you continue to come into this session, we will go ahead and get started, and others will catch up as you join. So welcome back to session 2. It is my honor and privilege to turn this session over to one of our up and coming leaders here in North Carolina. I would say a protege of Miss Andrea Harris, and that is none other than the first Black female appointed to North Carolina DOT, reappointed to North Carolina Department of Transportation's board, none other than Valerie Jordan. Valerie, it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Director Hall. Happy Friday, everyone. I am so excited to be your moderator on today, and we have an exciting panel for some great conversation. So small businesses owners, they're going to discuss in ways that their business has responded to this COVID-19 pandemic. So today's panelists, who are experts in their fields, they're going to share with us on how they're doing their businesses. For instance, their challenges, their success, and how they've been impacted. I am so excited once again to introduce our panelists on today. So I'm going to let you guys talk a little bit about who you are, the panelists. If you can give our audience just a little snippet about you and tell a little bit about where we're going to go from here. So Warren ARRINGTON, he's going to be joining us from American Safety Products. We also have Tim Catlett, who is from Progressive Business Solutions. Also Donovan Everett from DA Everett Construction Group, as well as Kimberly Leazer from Farms and Supply, and also none other than Iris Phillips from Grace Federal Solutions. So if we could go in this particular order, we're going to do ladies first. Kimberly, please go right ahead on and tell us a little bit about your Farms and Supply, Inc.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. I am Kimberly Leazer, CEO of FSI Office. I have been doing this for 38 years, and I love what I do. We procure and supply office products, PPE supplies, break room, Jansan, and furniture products across the state. So what I sell, everybody uses, which is really nice. And one of the things that I'm glad that we have is the opportunity to sell to anybody and everyone. So we just look at everybody as a potential customer for us. And that's how we sort of move our business forward, just looking for opportunities.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. Iris Phillips, are you there? All right, while we're waiting for Iris to join us, Donovan Everett, if you would like to give us some information and the background about DA Everett Construction Group, sir.
Good morning. My name is Donovan Everett, and I'm the president of DA Everett Construction Group. We're a commercial general contractor and construction manager based here in Raleigh. I've been in construction all my life. Grew up in a family-owned construction business, so construction has been in my blood ever since I was small. But started DA Everett Construction Group 7 years ago. And some of the core markets that we focus on are education, K through 12, higher ed, automotive, K through automotive, healthcare, and corporate interiors. We're stationed here in Raleigh, but we cover North, South Carolina, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. We are a relationships-based business. We love developing relationships with clients and customers to help them fulfill their dreams and build their projects. And we love what we do. We're a nimble firm and customer driven.
Thank you so much, Mr. Everett. We're now going to move over to Mr. Tim Catlett from Progressive Building Solutions. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning. Progressive Business Solutions. We started off as a printing company in Raleigh, North Carolina, handling continuous forms, and then moved to handling all different types of commercial printing. And then once we built our warehouse, we now do a lot of other things. We changed our name to Progressive Business Solutions because we're a solutions provider, from printing to office furniture to warehouse management to fulfillment to all different types of distribution. We have 30 some people working for us, been in business for 32 years. And some of our main customers are colleges, pharmaceuticals, and happy to be part of the organization. This is my daughter right here, Sadie Catlett. She's our future CEO.
Hi, Sadie, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having us.
Is there anything that you would like to say as the future CEO?
Just like Donovan, we've been a family-owned business, and I can't wait for my dad to pass the torch down. He's a great mentor and leader that I'm learning from, along with all of his network that I've been able to build relationships with to help me build this company for 30 more years.
Awesome. That is awesome, Sadie. I definitely look forward to working with you in the future. So as Warren had a chance to join, I know he was having some technical difficulties. Warren Arrington, are you there yet? What about Iris? Iris, has you had a chance to join us? All right. Well, they're going to try to join us as we continue, and they'll alert us when they're ready. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start talking a little bit to our current panelists. I'm going to have Kimberly have some questions, and we're going to just kind of go back in that particular order with Kimberly, Donovan, and Mr. Catlett, and just kind of talk a little bit about, the pandemic crisis. So here's what I want to know, and that we can talk to the audience about. The pandemic crisis is hitting small businesses particularly very hard. Now, when the pandemic hit back in early March, I want to know if you can help to discuss what was the most significant change that your company faced during COVID-19? Kimberly.
So I think one of the things that we had to do is really change how our employees worked and where they worked from, and how we dealt with all of that to keep them safe. But a huge part of what we dealt with was because we deliver directly to customers, our drivers were on the front line. And so trying to come up with ways to protect them, to keep them safe, to make sure we still got the things that the customers needed. So we sort of had to pivot how that looked. And so we went from having our employees, our drivers go into offices and deliver all over the office to limit their exposure, to having one drop point, providing individual stylists so people weren't passing things to keep them safe, and limiting the number of times we were in their building, because exposure is huge. And sanitizing, fogging their vehicles, on a regular basis, keeping everything clean, gloves, masks, sanitizer, hand washing, soap, and all that to just take with them. So they had all that, doing that, and then keeping the people inside that had to be internal on alternating schedules to limit exposure. So just a lot of things to do with HR.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you for that feedback. Mr. Everett, if you could tell our audience what was your most significant change with your company as you faced the COVID-19 pandemic?
Yeah, so for us, it was, because we're spread out in projects everywhere, how do we first communicate to our team? What does that mean? And then two, how do we implement safety for our subcontractors, our team, and everybody on the job sites, but also in our office? And then two, what do we set up to implement so it's consistent across the board? So that was we really went to like everybody, virtual, and implementing things in place. And this pandemic, nobody really knew what it was, so things were changing. So as the information was coming, we had to quickly turn on a dime, whether it was mask, switching to wearing masks permanently, and then hand washing stations like that on the project. So that was from the project side standpoint, it was really being open, talking to peers in the industry, what they're seeing, what we were seeing, and trying to bring all those together. Then from the business side, because we did a lot of relationship based, we're meeting with people. That changed because they were not doing face-to-face meetings. So how do you continue to stay in touch with your customers, potential customers, knowing that what they're going through, but also knowing that you're still trying to keep your business going? So we, like everybody else, went to virtual meetings and virtual lunch and learns and things like that to keep the business going, but also just being being a resource for your customer, because they really didn't know with this pandemic what was going on. So just being a resource to them and being a value to them. So when things did turn around, that you were there for them.
Absolutely. Team Catlett, could you give our audience some information about, what some of your most significant changes were this year?
Well, a lot of it is a lot of what Kimberly said, and both Donna said, keeping the people safe. But one of the most important things that we did, we had a meeting and made sure our key people, what would happen if something happened to one of our key people? How do we address that? And who would take over for that key person, including myself? Who would take over? How would it look like? Because when it first started, it was like a nightmare. So
Yeah.
you didn't know if because when people thought they was going to get COVID, it was almost like the AIDS pandemic where you thought you might die, and being a small business and not having some of those things in place, that scared me. But again, what we first did, we was one of the first out of here. We took our temperature from the very start. We wear masks internally and so forth like that. But I pretty much the same thing that Donovan and Kimberly said, is safety was the most important thing and how we deliver to our customer.
Absolutely. So I have another question for you. And we're gonna.
Yes, and you. Okay, so you. Oh, here I am. Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry. Was there anyone that joined us from the panelists?
Yes, hi. I'm sorry. I was having technical difficulty. I'm Iris Phillips with Grace Federal Solutions.
Good morning. Good morning. We were definitely waiting for you. So
good morning.
Good morning, my dear. So we're going to pause just for a second. And we want to, again, welcome you to today's panel. So Iris, could you just, give us a little bit about you really quickly, and then we're going to go right back into today's segment.
Hey,
Sure.
Valerie, before Iris begins, Iris, this is Tammie. Valerie, before Iris begins, Warren Arrington has joined you as well.
Yeah. Hey, Warren.
Good morning, Warren.
Hey,
Yes.
Warren.
Hey, Warren. So we're both.
Good morning.
Okay.
I had technical difficulty too. So
thank you. Okay, I wasn't the only one.
no, you weren't the only one.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to pause with Iris, and then Warren is going to give us some information about his services as well. Go right ahead.
Okay. Well, hi, everyone. Apologize for the technical difficulties, but now I'm here and I'm glad I am. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I am, like I said, my name is Iris, and I'm with Grace Federal Solutions, and we provide professional services, mainly in the healthcare arena. We support with human capital, project management, and the needs of any large hospital or healthcare entity. So that's us.
Thank you, Iris. Hey, Warren, do you want to give us some information about your great company?
Well, good morning, everybody. Sorry I was late, but this is American Safety Products. We're truly a micro company that's been in business for 35 years, and we're kind of a double company that does subcontracting construction, as well as still do a little bit of distribution. When the pandemic hit, because we have people with children, our office is really a skeletal office right now, where I'm the only one in, as well as one other person. The rest of the staff is working from home. So we had to adjust to the virtual Zoom meetings and all this technical stuff. And as well as what was stated before, being on the construction site was a little bit, at my age, worried about being around people who weren't fully protected on the construction sites. So that's the short version of what we do.
Absolutely. So as we were actually in today's conversation, Warren and Iris, hey, Warren, one of the things that we wanted our audience to know is, again, the pandemic crisis has definitely hit a lot of our small businesses. And what we wanted to know from you and Iris, when it hit back in March, what was the most significant changes that your company faced, during the COVID-19? Could you give us a little information on your thoughts about that one. We're going to start with you, Warren.
Okay, well, one of the most significant changes on our distribution side, where we had products that would normally have been available to those who were requesting, like gloves and protective clothing and stuff. Most of our suppliers cut us off because that immediately said the priority was to give to healthcare versus us. And we didn't buy enough product, like truckloads of it, to remain in distribution. So the things that we used to be able to get, we can't get. On the flip side of that, all of these agencies and customers that I'd never had before was emailing me every day looking for instance, disposable gloves. And we just didn't have them or have those available. So we had to make that adjustment to let people know that we were unable to respond to the need, which would have been great if we had a warehouse full of stuff.
Wow. Right. Iris, what about you? Iris, are you there with us? Okay.
Myself, since we're with major hospitals, we got hit with the university side mainly. So we had to lay off some folks. And also with some of our clients, their budgets were cut for departments. And so we had to readjust, laying off some of the people at one site, trying to see if they had skills to help within the medical area, whether it was admin or some low-level clinical positions that they could work in. But still, we had to lay off some people, which was really tough for us because we knew that even though we had to continue, they also had families that they had to support. And so that's sort of a tough situation to do that.
Absolutely. So we're going to move into the next question, and we're going to just, kind of go, round robin, or we can just have anyone who would like to start this conversation. I want to know for our audience today is about your service offerings. Has this changed your target market as a result of the COVID? I know that so many, we have some great industries right here, but, if anyone would like to just start this conversation off, just want to tell everyone, has this actually changed, how you do business, but now has it changed your target market? We can start again. I'm going to ask Mr. Everett, from the construction standpoint, has this changed your target market, sir?
For us, not so much changed our target market. What we're seeing in the healthcare space that, COVID is changing the way they do things in the healthcare space. So some of the projects that we're seeing now are related to making those changes regarding COVID. And then, outside of that, our clients and customers in the markets that we serve are still building schools and things of that nature. They're still building. So we really haven't changed our target markets. We've just become more focused on how we execute our business in the markets inside of that based on the new norm that we now have of COVID and trying to keep everybody safe and make sure the clients and owners know that we're looking at that. And when they're planning and doing buildings, how do they plan for the new norm of, social distancing and making their space fit within those new parameters?
Absolutely. Absolutely. What about you, Mr. Tim and Sadie? Have you actually seen a different change in your target market from Progressive Business Solutions?
Yes, a big change. A lot of the things that our target market might not have changed, but what we target to the customer has changed. For instance, we were lucky enough to be able to get a hold of gloves. We have a warehouse and we procured gloves from both multiple suppliers because we do business with the healthcare. So a lot of our suppliers came to us and gave us first rights of refusal for gloves because we deal to the healthcare. Also the signage that social distance signage, that was a big market. So where people unfortunately suffered because of the pandemic, we kind of grew because of the pandemic, because the way that we pivoted and some of the things that we offered. the relationship our customers had with us, that they came to us in panic. Can you get this? Can you get this? Can you get this? And our relationship with China was good and bad.
Wow, awesome. Kimberly, at FSI, did you have significant changes in your target market?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, really, I look at everybody as a potential customer because of what I sell. But what it allowed us to do is take a particular area that we had been growing, had been targeting for several years, and just really expanding and grow that business, because we were already selling gloves, we were selling hand sanitizer, all those types of things. But in this scenario, we needed to sell a lot more. We did start selling masks, sourcing thermometers, the acrylic dividers for and signage, as Tim mentioned, to our customers, because we do a lot with universities, lower ed, hospitals, all those kind of people. We're trying to figure out what to do. And because some of our existing manufacturers pivoted their manufacturing facilities, we had access to these products because we were already their customer. So
Right.
It gave us that ability to bring these in and to grow that particular segment of the company.
All right, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Hey, Warren, what about your target market? Did you see any significant changes there with American Safety Products?
Okay, I'm muted. Well, in the majority of our business for the last 4 or 5 years have been the construction industry. And because we are a subcontractor in the construction industry, we have relied mostly on targeting what I call public jobs. And the reason for that was that it was a little bit easier for us to do what we call CM at risk projects. But with the pandemic change and the fact that we had some challenges the year before, didn't have enough contracts on the books, we switched to what I call GC or private jobs. And we have really excelled in that area in the last 4 or 5 months. So we did have to kind of switch our target market to be both public and private, and found some new niches that we can adapt to.
Yeah, awesome. What about you, Iris, with Grace Federal Solutions?
Yeah, that's a very good question. We had to target more, where we target more just support of just regular health patients and other clinical support type positions. We are now have a lot of focus on COVID, and we need some of those supplies that you all are just talking about, because the people now that we're working with are testers, and they need the PPE. And so we're in both the federal and the commercial market. And so now it seems like we were more primed. We're also doing a lot of subcontracting to some of the larger businesses.
That's great. That's awesome. So here's what you always say, right? Or, I grew up how to make lemonade out of lemons, right? So in our theory, what that means is, there's always an opportunity. So in the COVID crisis, right? So we're going to look at where are the opportunities. If we can start and talk a little bit about how your business or businesses, right? How are you pivoting to meet those challenges for your clients? So again, where are the opportunities? I know that we definitely want to see, where we can definitely pivot. And we're going to start with, hey, Kim, if you can maybe start us off here and talk about where you see opportunities and how your company is going to make lemonade out of the lemons.
All right, so as we know, so many people moved out of the offices to work from home. So with that, if you're not trying to figure out how do you get to those people, because you don't normally access those in the normal office environment. So we created a team to come together and say, how do we get to them? What do they need? How can we access them directly to pull the products that they need back into us? So we created bundles. And we went to the purchasing people within those companies and said, okay, you've got people working from home. We know that budgets are tight. You need to retain the cost of what you're spending. So we create bundles that they can have automatically sent on a monthly basis to their employees who are working from home. So we did that with PPE, we did that with office products, we even had furniture bundles so that people could have choices to match their home decor, so that people could, businesses could set them up to work at home. And so we did all those type of things to get past the wall into where the space was being and the products were being used. So we're doing that now. And then we also took and just started delivering to the drop door on the front porch delivery, so that we were sending that out on our own vehicles into those rather than using common carriers, FedEx, UPS, because that's more costly than what you can do on your own. So we just sort of readapted and had days that we did front porch delivery, and then we had days that we do building delivery to keep everything sort of, in flow.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is definitely some great conversations, and I definitely want to help us to continue that. And with that, we're going to see, we got about 10 more minutes, and I got so much that we can definitely continue to talk about. And as we spend our last 10 minutes, and I want our panelists to kind of spend the next, 2 minutes, just giving us, some of the things, or wrapping up with us on where you're actually seeing small businesses, MBEs, as we so fondly call them, navigate into the COVID-19 crisis. Tell me where you see your direction and the opportunities and the great things as a minority business. Again, how are you going to navigate into this crisis? So we're going to spend our next 9 minutes, and we're going to talk to that so we can definitely be able to also influence others. So we're going to start with you, Sadie and Mr. Tim Catlett. Tell us about that, and we're going to just continue to move downward.
Well, I would say that for MBEs, let them know that what has helped us is that we truly establish a relationship with our customers to build trust, confidence, and guidance towards them for their projects or their needs. And with that, during this pandemic, our clients, our customers were able to reach out to us knowing that we would fulfill their needs the way they needed them, give them the best guidance, and they brought more opportunities to our table to allow us the opportunity to see if we could get it done. Like the gloves, we were able to fulfill. The signage we've been able to do for the schools and different towns and cities in North Carolina. And the different fulfillment projects we were able to do to get PPE products to their employees and things like that. That's really helped us out. And I think it's really important as an MBE to establish trust and a true relationship with customers, not just a transactional thing, like actually make them feel that you care, because being an MBE, there's opportunities out there, but they're not always given to us right on the hands.
Absolutely,
and,
absolutely.
And not just that, our banking relationships, that's so important, because some of the items, some of the opportunities we got have been so large, and if we didn't have a good bank relationship, they would fall between the cracks, because I've never got so many large orders in one short period of time since in this pandemic.
Wow, that's great. What about you, Mr. Everett?
No, I agree exactly everything that's said. I think we have a unique opportunity as small minority businesses to be very nimble, and your relationships, like I said, are key. And leaning in hard during this time when people are pulling back, this is time to lean in and reach out to your customers. Just how you can help them. And I think what this pandemic had taught us is relationships are key. We heard a lot in the media and things like that about when the PPP came out, a lot of minority companies did not get the opportunity on the first rounds and things like that, because the banking relationships were came into play, like Tim just said. And, I think if we didn't learn anything outside of this, having a strong relationship with banks is vital to your business for when things happen, whether it's good or bad, and just continue to build those relationships, like you said, build that trust, and just be a unique service and a unique advocate for your customer. And the only way to do that is to reach out and to let them know you're there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Warren, what about you, sir? Warren, you're on mute. We can't hear you. There you go.
Okay, that's working. I thought the host was doing that. I agree with what's been said earlier. Also, that with us, the banking relationship, particularly someone who's been around as long as we have, but in that we're kind of like I said, a micro company. We're not as large as some of the other companies on the panel, but we have expanded our relationships, particularly again back in the construction industry. So even though we look at the opportunities that are available, unless you reach out to the client and the customers and allow them to know what you can do as a smaller company versus some of the big companies. We had an opportunity recently where in the what I call GC private market, where everything is bidded a la carte, we were able to bid on items in the Division 10 together. And that allowed the client to say, well, we would rather deal with you than to deal with 4 different contractors, and we can deal with one, those kinds of things. And so we kind of spruced up our website. We reach out to the clients and we look at those opportunities that come. And I noticed that we get more and more requests via email and through some of the state portals than we ever did before. So it's just a matter of picking and choosing which ones you want to respond to. And the other part in our category is that our suppliers we have to have a really good relationship with them. It's like stated before, when you get orders now, some of these companies wanted to cut back because of pandemic. They want to give you shorter terms, or they think that you start asking for information that they didn't ask for before, even though you've been doing business with them for years. Right. So those are kinds of things that we have to look at.
Hey, Iris, if you could give us give some quick feedback about what your thoughts are on this.
Yes, I think I agree with everyone, starting with, I think, did you say it was Sadie? The relationship and Donovan about the banking relationships, and also Mr. Warren, the race and networking. Okay, so the relationship, banking relationship, and your customers knowing that you do what you say you're going to do, and that's important. And always keep that network going, because you never know. They always remember you, and they'll call you even if it's been a month or so. So yeah.
Absolutely. So our panelist today has given us some really great feedback on the COVID and how their business models has changed and how their business models will grow. So we want to thank you on all of these great conversations. And I am so looking forward to having these continued conversations along with our North Carolina historically underutilized business department. And also, Sadie, as you get ready to take over your company and become our new future, we're excited that you're going to be a part of our new growth that we see in our 21st century. So congratulations on that. And you have a lot of great mentors right here that's going to continue to see the legacy continue. Hopefully you think about an HBCU, but we'll talk about that later. So I am going to now turn this over. And I think that our director, Tammie Hall, is still here with us. So Director Hall, we're going to close it out. And if you can give us some great information about today and what we're going to look forward to. Take it from here back, Ms. Hall.
Absolutely. Thank you, Valerie Jordan. You never cease to amaze me. Great job. The panelists that you had today, these business owners, guess what? You weathered the storm. We're in the midst of a pandemic, and you are here and you are figuring out ways to be innovative, creative, thinkers outside of the box. Let's get it done. And so for that, we celebrate each of you and we salute you to your commitment to your business and the communities here in North Carolina. We're counting on each of you. And Sadie, we've been watching you from a babe. And so we are absolutely proud of you, and we'll be here to celebrate you and help you move through the transition of taking over behind Dad, who has a great legacy of his own. And so you guys, we thank you. Warren, Iris, Kimberly, Donovan, you guys did a great job. So we have now come to a close of this session, and we're going to pivot one more time. We're going to close out of this session, and we're going to pivot into the next session, which is a candid discussion around the aftermath of George Floyd and how diversity and inclusion programs are blossoming, and what corporate's response is to our racial injustices, and how do we continue to help move this needle forward. So let's close out, and guess what? I'll see you over in the next segment. Thank you. Thank you all.